Hey, Unded, we haven't seen you at the house in a while. You had that video that you were supposed to be working on. Jesus fucking Christ, I don't want to do this. How would do my stillborn cat litter? My name's Undead Meowth, and holy shit, do I have a hangover. Just like the splash title in my intro suggested, we are covering Eric Hovind, and he's going to say that abiogenesis equals evolution. Because of course he is, and like so many before me, I am going to respond to the claim that abiogenesis equals evolution. Because of course I am. I'm gonna need a drink for this shit.
That said, it is possible to examine both of these historical models using modern science. Just as a cold case can be solved using existing evidence, even though the crime can't be observed today. For instance, evolutionism demands that DNA and the first cells created themselves with no designer.
So, the point I'm about to say has been regurgitated over and over again in the atheist/skeptic community. But since I'm unoriginal, I'm going to say it anyways. Evolution only deals with descent within species, meaning cells coming from cells, organisms coming from organisms, etc., etc. Now, while many, as Eric Hovind would say, evolutionists do believe in abiogenesis, that of course being the idea that life came from inorganic materials, Eric Hovind still misdefines what abiogenesis is. It is not believed that cells created themselves. There are many examples in the modern day of amino acids being found generated naturally and not through an organic process. We also know that naturally occurring phospholipids automatically form a cell-like structure. Think of it kind of like a bubble. On top of this, we also know that RNA has the ability to self-replicate without DNA. If you look at the most basal archaea that live today, it is not that far of a stretch of the imagination that cells could form naturally. Notice how I use the word form and not create themselves, because to insist that they create themselves means that they had some will of their own before they existed. Which I might add is exactly why Eric Hovind uses this phrasing, because it makes abiogenesis seem completely irrational. I don't know why in Eric Hovind's tiny mind it makes more sense that a giant man in the sky squeezed some clay and that somehow turned into the first humans. But let's continue on. I'm sure he'll have an explanation that just completely blows us back and wows us.
Whereas creation says all of life was made by God.
By squeezing clay with his hands.
The predictions of evolutionism would be that it is possible, given the right conditions, that DNA could right itself, and the first living cell could come together by chance and go from dead matter to a living, self-replicating cell.
There is a whole lot to unpack here, but let's start with the beginning.
It is possible, given the right conditions, that DNA could right itself.
No one claims that DNA can write itself. It does in fact require RNA to write it. The implication here is that divine intelligence is necessary in order to quote-unquote write the code. But seeing as mutations are caused quite frequently merely by the fact that DNA is copied poorly, if you assume God is the one writing the code, he must either be dyslexic or stupid.
And the first living cell could come together by chance.
Not by chance, but through a step-by-step process in which different features are added on due to natural processes taking place. For example, a fire starts in a gas station and creeps over to the propane tanks and explodes. Did God create that explosion, or did it happen through natural processes? The explosion and the fire didn't just come together by happenstance all at the same time. Abiogenesis is described as a domino effect of different things happening through different stages in time. Here's a shorthand hypothetical for how the first cell could have came to be. Amino acids get stuck on a ribose strand, thus making the first RNA. As that RNA strand self-replicates, one of them gets stuck in a phospholipid protocell, which is basically just a phospholipid bilayer surrounding water. As materials pass through the phospholipid bilayer, the RNA strand tries to replicate. However, when it duplicates, the second strand gets stuck within the protocell. These strands, of course, comparative to modern-day species, would be very short, but as we've learned from the reality TV show Love Island, it doesn't matter how big you are. If you're trapped with someone in a very small room, eventually they're going to start, in this case we're going to say, cuddling to keep it PG-13. Creationists want to believe that the theory of abiogenesis hinges on the fact that everything came together at once, because that's their worldview. They believe that everything happened all at the same time spontaneously. This is the same tactic, in fact, as to why they try to say that atheism is a religion. Without bringing down their opponents' worldviews to their level, they would have no chance in actually debating anyone. Because it's easier to claim something is irrational when you state that everything just happened by accident. The process of evolution and by extension abiogenesis is a lot like the snowball effect, or, as I stated earlier, a gas fire causing an explosion.
And go from dead matter to a living, self-replicating cell.
Time to get pedantic. If something was never living in the first place, it can't be dead. The words you are looking for are inorganic and organic. Inorganic meaning not coming from life, and organic meaning coming from life. Dead matter would refer to someone like me, and I would thank you to not be racist. Or would that be lifist? Evolutionist?
Biblical creation would predict that life would show signs of intelligent design. This is created by God. Irreducible complexity, created in fully formed and functioning ways. And have information, a pre-programmed set of instructions given by the Creator so that it could work.
There is a whole lot to unpack here, but let's start with the beginning.
Biblical creation would predict that life would show signs of intelligent design.
Here's a list of animals that are designed very counterintuitively.
Everybody's in the play, and don't you know, it's a beautiful new day. Hey.
Irreducible complexity, created in fully formed and functioning ways.
I wonder what Eric Hoven's rationale for vestigial organs are. Like, yes, the irreducibly complex back legs of cetaceans that don't even, protrude outside their body. How divinely intelligent. Look at these fully formed bone spurs that basically do fuck all nothing.
A pre-programmed set of instructions given by the Creator so that it could work.
When people make analogies of DNA being like computer codes or books or information, it's not to be taken literal. The acids in vinegar and the bases in baking soda, when combined together, cause a reaction that creates water and carbon dioxide. We wouldn't say that baking soda and vinegar have the information needed for this chemical reaction to work. And while the reaction between acids and basics are far less complex than the reactions between amino acids that form DNA and RNA, it's the same concept. And before moving on, I would like to point out that everything Eric Hoven said was a prediction, wasn't. That being both the predictions of evolution and the predictions of young Earth creationism. A prediction of evolution would be to say that a species exists fundamentally because of the environmental factors before actually finding the species itself. This has happened several times, which is why evolution has strong evidence to support that it does in fact happen. That's gonna end this video. I'm sorry I didn't keyframe my avatar like I usually do. Honestly, I'm just not feeling it right now. Check out my Discord below. Check out my Teesprings below. I got some cool merchandise. If you want to see more videos like this and you want to see me put more effort in, that would be a really cool way to show me that I'm actually doing something interesting. Be sure to check out the first part of a series. And with all that out of the way, my name's Unded Meowth, and I'm gonna go get blackout drunk. That's all I got.